Which waterline is this? What number shall I give it?
Waterline 1.
This one is number 3, sir. Number 3, touching both, no?
Number 3.
Does everybody agree on that? This cannot be 1. It cannot be 1. It cannot be 2 also. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is 3. That means इससे पहले नंबर 2 हो चुकी है और उससे पहले नंबर 1 हो चुकी है. तो 1 से मैं 2 पे आया, 2 से मैं 3 पे आया. Okay. So now let me touch upon one more element of the ship, of the stability, and that is GM. So let's say that at waterline 1, at waterline number 1, let's say the km of the vessel is 6 meters, the kg of the vessel is 5 meters. Okay. Therefore, the GM initial is 1 meter. So
Yes.
at waterline 1, under the column of inference, write down GM initial is equal to 1 meter. ये मैं hypothetically values ले रहा हूँ. I'm just randomly taking some values to explain a point. Now, when I come to waterline number 2, okay, P will start to act. Will there be any change in the GM of the vessel? Is the question. What do you think?
Repeat, sir, please.
Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is, at waterline 2, when P begins to act,
Sir,
will
as
there
soon
be
Yes,
as
sir.
aft side touches the block, the kg will change.
KG will change, so GM will affect.
now the question is like this. In reality, the kg of the vessel does not change. Okay. In reality, the kg of the vessel does not change. Because the displacement of the vessel is 50,000 tons still. If the displacement is constant, then kg is also constant.
Yes, sir. It will be constant.
That is
Right.
correct, sir. Buoyancy will reduce and
Buoyancy
speed
will
will
Right.
increase.
because we have
Buoyancy is
loaded any
reduced.
cargo.
Because I have not uh, uh, discharged any cargo. So therefore, the kg, the two basic principles in dry dock is W remains constant, kg remains constant. Okay. Now, what happens is this P tons of force which is acting upward is changing the trim of the vessel. And since the trim is changing, the waterline is changing. Earlier, the waterline was inclined like this. Now, the waterline is slowly becoming less inclined and coming to even keel. So, as a result, I know Km is also equal to Kb plus Bm. So My waterline is changing, so KB is changing. BM is also changing, so KM is changing. If KM is changing, KG remaining constant, that means GM is changing and GM is reducing.
Yes.
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay,
Sir, please repeat again, sir.
I'll repeat once again. Km is also equal to Kb plus Bm. My waterline is changing. My waterline was initially inclined like this. Initially मेरी जहाज ऐसे था, अब ये ऐसे हो रहा है. तो क्योंकि मेरा जहाज ऐसे हो रहा है, मेरी वाटरलाइन चेंज हो रही है, मेरा केबी बदल रहा है,
हाँ सर.
मेरा बीएम भी बदल रहा है. तो इसका मतलब मेरा केएम बदल रहा है.
हाँ सर.
मेरा केएम बदल रहा है, केजी
GM.
कांस्टेंट है,
हाँ
तो
सर.
मेरा जीएम बदल रहा है.
हाँ जी सर.
मेरा जीएम
Excuse me, sir.
let me just finish the sentence. So because my km is changing, my gm is also changing. Because of that, kg is constant. So because मेरा gm change हो रहा है, ये मेरा gm actually reduce कर रहा है. This reduction of gm is called as virtual loss of gm. And so, therefore, from waterline number 2 onwards, when critical period commences, virtual loss of GM commences. Hanji, now you ask me questions.
Sir, why the KG is constant at the aft page of
Yes, sir.
So in waterline 2, write down virtual loss of GM commences. That means the GM will constantly keep losing. Therefore, the GM which is remaining will keep on reducing. So the residual GM will decrease. Do you agree to this statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as the waterline falls, P will increase. The virtual loss of GM will increase. And if virtual loss of GM increases, the remaining residual GM will keep decreasing. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Some
So
waterline.
this residual GM.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, what is this residue? I didn't get it. Residue.
Is residual. So GM initial, supposing minus the virtual loss will give me the remaining GM, the residual GM.
Okay. Okay,
So
sir.
if my initial GM is 1 meter, supposing my virtual loss of GM is 0.25 meter, then what is my remaining GM? 0.75.
0.75.
Supposing my GM initial is 1 meter, my virtual loss of GM is 1.25 meters. What is my residual GM?
Minus 2.5. Minus point.
Minus 0.25. Yeah.
Agreed on this?
Yes, sir.
What will be my situation at this time? I am aft, touched, forward, not yet touched, still in the air, and I have got a negative GM. I am unstable. What will happen? The vessel will topple over. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This
Yes, sir.
is the criticality of the critical period. I don't want this to happen. Hence the name critical period. When does critical period occur? From 2 to 3.
Yes, sir.
So I don't want my residual GM to become negative between 2 and 3.
Yes, sir.
So what do I want? At waterline 3, my residual GM should be positive. That means my residual GM should be greater than 0. That is what I want. If my residual GM, I want it to be greater than 0, that means I want it to be stable. I want this to be positive. My virtual loss should be less than GM initial. That means my virtual loss should be less than 1 meter. So long as my virtual loss is less than 1 meter, my residual GM will always be positive.
Yes, sir.
Since my residual GM is always positive at waterline 3, I am okay. I'm okay to dry dock.
Yes, sir.
So at waterline 3, my RGM or residual GM should be positive. ये एक मेरी कंडीशन है. So this is the biggest challenge for the mate to check RGM at waterline 3. अगर ये positive है, okay to dry dock, no problem. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. इसके बाद ड्राई डॉक फिर पंप आउट करता है थोड़ा सा पानी. जैसे ही थोड़ा सा पानी और पंप आउट करेगा 3 के बाद, ये वर्चुअल लॉस और बढ़ेगा. आरजीएम और घटेगा.
Yes.
एक टाइम आएगा जब virtual loss will become equal to GM initial.
Yes, sir.
That waterline is called as waterline number 4. So at waterline number 4, the residual GM will become equal to 0. Virtual loss of GM will be equal to GM initial. Supposing 1 meter, so 1 meter. Is it okay?
सर एक बार नंबर 4 फिर से समझा दीजिएगा.
नंबर 4 फिर से. ओके. सो 3 पे मेरी आरजीएम पॉजिटिव थी. राइट. लेट्स से पॉजिटिव 0.25 सपोजिंग. तो आई वाज ओके टू ड्राई डॉक. अब उसके बाद जब पानी और नीचे गया तो वर्चुअल लॉस और बढ़ा.
Yes, sir.
वर्चुअल लॉस और बढ़ा तो आरजीएम और घटा.
Yes, sir.
सो आरजीएम 0.25 से 0.20 हो गया. फिर मैंने पानी और डाउन किया, फिर 0.15 आया, फिर 0.1 आया, फिर 0.05 आया। एक टाइम आएगा जब आरजीएम 0 हो जाएगा, दैट इज वाटर लाइन नंबर 4। आरजीएम is 0. That means the virtual loss of GM is equal to the initial GM. V loss is equal to initial GM. Initial GM was 1 meter, so virtual loss is also 1. RGM is 0. This
Yes.
will be water line number 4. RGM is 0.
सर अभी नंबर 4 पे all blocks already touch or not yet?
Already touched. वो 3 पे टच कर गए थे। 3 पे टच कर गए थे। P बढ़ चुका है। Water line 4, P4 is greater than P3. Bravo 4 is less than Bravo 3. Trim is 0. वो पहले ही हो चुकी थी। Draft forward will be equal to draft aft, will be equal to dock water height, will be equal to hydrostatic draft. अगर इनमें से मुझे कोई भी एक चीज मिल गई तो मुझे बाकी सारी चीजें मिल जाती हैं। Displacement remaining constant. W4 is equal to W3 is equal to W2 is equal to W1. Displacement throughout this entire process is constant. Kg is constant, not changing. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? Up to waterline 4.
No sir.
Okay. अब इसके बाद ड्राई डॉक फिर पंप आउट करता है। तो जैसे ही 4 के नीचे जाएगा पानी, वी लॉस बढ़ेगा, आरजीएम विल बिकम नेगेटिव।
Yes,
Yes.
sir, correct.
Yes.
So she'll become unstable,
Yes, sir.
but she's already sitting all over in the blocks. So it is okay. She won't topple over. This is what we wanted to achieve.
No, sir. One topic.
This is what we wanted to achieve. We wanted she to be seating all over on the blocks when the GM becomes negative. We wanted to achieve that.
तो सर नंबर 4 पे it is sitting on in the all the blocks.
Correct.
तो जीएम पॉजिटिव था, तो हम तो ऑलरेडी पहले से सेफ पोजीशन पे हैं।
हाँ, वो 3 से ही शुरू हो गया था, हम सेफ पे आ गए थे। 3 हम I wanted to achieve 3 first. 3 में पॉजिटिव हो गया था, मैं I was okay. So this is the sequence of my dry docking. I should go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. So after 4, the GM will become negative. RGM will remain negative. And as the water line keeps falling, it will become more negative. My question to you is,
सर किसी का वॉइस माइक ऑन है सर।
my question to you is, at waterline 5, what will be the RGM?
What will be what, sir?
Sir, it will be negative.
The RGM at waterline
GM will
5.
be negative, sir.
RGM is negative there already.
हाँ, नेगेटिव हो गया 4 पे के बाद, अब ये बढ़ता गया,
Yes.
बढ़ता गया,
Yeah.
बढ़ता गया, बढ़ता गया, नेगेटिव में बढ़ रहा है। ओके, अब 5 पे आया, तो 5 पे क्या होगा?
Sir,
It will be equal.
same as
Same
kg
रहेगा,
initial,
already-
but
kg
negative.
initial 5 meters.
already same रहेगा, but already हट जाएगा क्योंकि वो so everything is out now, water is out, everything is out.
So what will happen?
-5 meters, sir.
Like something else. So at waterline 5, there is no buoyancy.
It will be 0, sir.
Since there is no buoyancy, M vanishes. M will vanish. So therefore, GM vanishes.
चल वैसे नहीं।
Vessel will only have kg. ये सब